Welcome, Christian Metal Group. Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Let me start over. I didn't change my name. I'm I'm, I'm discombobulated today.
Oh, that's
So,
right. You're Jimmy the Liberty guy right now.
uh, all right,
Jimmy the Liberty
all
guy.
right. Welcome, Christian Metal Community Group. We are here with Joey West. I am Jimmy Sarles, and we have Jay
hmm
and Jay Goodwin, and we're both on the leadership for Christian Metal Group. And Joey
hmm
West is the drummer for Disciple. How you doing today, Joey?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, glad to have you. So awesome. So tell us a little bit about your journey as far as growing up, a little bit of history. Like, did you grow up in a musical home, and also did you grow up in a religious home?
Yeah, I was born at Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and grew up on the coast for like the first 6, 7 years of my life between Hilton Head and Beaufort.
Mm,
And my dad was a kind of like a youth group leader at our church. So I grew up in the church, around like all the youth group kids, and I like naturally gravitated towards kids that were older than me because I was always like, oh man, he's 8, he's really cool, like he's the cool kid. And so that naturally just was, what happened, and I always gravitated to people that were older than me. So as I got older, we moved up to Spartanburg, South Carolina, with my dad's job. And the church that we were in, there was a kid in the youth group. I think he was 13 at the time. And again, I was naturally gravitating towards older kids because I thought they were so cool. Well, this guy, his name was Justin. He played the drums, and
mm.
I thought that was like that made him the coolest guy in the world. And he played drums in church a few times. His dad was the pastor, and I was like, "Whoa, that's cool." And I'd already had an interest in drums because my dad was a drummer. My dad would not say that he was like my dad didn't have a kit in the house. He didn't play, but I knew that he had played previously. There was like old pictures of him behind a kit and everything. So I was already interested in drums at a young age. So I was about 7 or 8 at this point. And when I saw Justin playing the drums, I was like, okay, that's it. Like I want to be a drummer like my dad, and I want to be as cool as this kid Justin. And so Justin just so happened to have this old kit laying around and that he didn't need anymore. And I think he sold it to my dad for like $200. And one day I came home and that kit was just there,
Oh
and it
man.
was just a complete surprise. Like I was an only child, so I was like borderline spoiled, but I didn't have to share the love with any of like siblings or whatnot. But my parents definitely were really good to me. I was definitely not spoiled in the sense that I just got everything that I asked for. Like I got the drum kit, but also had to work hard to keep my privileges with a drum kit. Like they would disappear very quickly if I didn't keep my grades up, or if I
Nice.
was slipping up in my attitude or whatnot. So yeah, like I wouldn't say I grew up in a musical home, but I loved music from a very young age. Loved the band Boston. I think Shania Twain was a young love of mine. So like I had this like eclectic little yeah, musical upbringing and whatnot. But yeah, that was pretty much kind of how the drumming thing started.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you say
Yeah.
your dad was a youth minister.
hmm
Yeah, so you definitely grew up in a religious home.
Uh,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, and like they were very involved at this church in Beaufort, and my dad was I don't he wasn't like a youth minister by profession or
Right.
anything. I think it was just like they needed somebody, to work
That
with the youth, and my dad has just always been good with, making things fun, working with kids, and that's why even when I was in high school my friends wanted to come over to my house more so to hang out with my dad than they wanted to hang out with me because my dad was just hilarious and
yeah.
fun all the time.
That's awesome.
And he
That's
just he
that's
he
usually
just
how
made
it
things
goes
great.
with a lot of smaller churches too, So
Yeah.
and also, so tell us about your because I've read a little bit about this, and since I'm from we're in the same general area here. Tell us about who you took drum lessons from as a kid.
Yeah, so I was piddling around on my own for years, and um, being from Spartanburg, there's a world famous Southern rock group that birthed out of here, I think in the '70s,
Yep.
and they're called the Marshall Tucker Band. And Paul Riddle, the original drummer, was actually family friends of ours. My aunt, she has 4 kids, which are my cousins, and her 2 oldest daughters were really good friends with Paul's youngest daughter.
Nice.
So they were always like hanging out. Paul was, kind of in and out of our family functions and whatnot. And my aunt was like, I think she suggested it to my parents. She's like, Joey's like getting pretty good at drums. She's like, have y'all thought about lessons? Like, I'm sure Paul would, work with him. And so my parents got me signed up with Paul, and I worked with Paul probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And man, that was like some of the most incredible training, because
Yeah.
like he really like, I thought, at a young age, like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. But then I got in there and quickly realized like, yeah, I'm doing all this wrong, So he got me on the right track, and he was training me in rock. It's kind of definitely that southern rock feel. And then, I was like, I want to play heavy stuff. I want to play double kick. So when it came to double kick, I actually taught myself how to play double kick. No one showed me.
Oh, well.
I just watched videos of Joey Jordison, the original drummer of Slipknot. I would download videos on Napster and Kazaa back when it would take 3 days to download a 30-second video.
Hilarious.
And it
Yeah.
would tie up the phone lines, and mom and dad would be like, "Come on, like we need the phone."
Yeah.
I'm like, "But my video's downloading. I need to study."
I need
And
I'm going to school here. Come on.
yeah. And so honestly, like all the double kick stuff I learned on my own, and just by watching videos of these metal drummers like Joey, and just trying to mimic it in my bedroom until it just ended up sounding right,
So
and
that's how
perfected
Southern
it from there.
Hospitality was born. No, I'm joking. No, but that's awesome. Yeah, I got to see the Marshall Tucker Band with Blackfoot for the first time, which I love both of them. Downtown Spartanburg, they had a free show about a year ago.
Oh, was it for the BMW thing
Maybe, I don't know. I
on
know.
the corner there, right at Wild Wings?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
I just know that was the most people I've ever seen in that downtown in my whole life.
Yeah,
But
that was a lot of people.
yeah, it was.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think that was their 50th anniversary show too.
Yeah.
And of course, not many of the original members are still in it, but it's cool. I think it's George McCorkle that's still in it. And actually, speaking of, hang on one second, I got something cool to show you.
Yeah, same for Blackfoot. I think they only have 1 or 2 maybe original members as well.
I missed that show. Sorry, guys.
Speaking of Marshall Tucker, I have this album
Oh, wow.
Nice.
that's signed by George, Paul, Toy. This was right after Tommy died. That's what they made this album for. But my dad won this record on the radio back when he was like in his 20s.
That's so cool.
He called into a radio station contest and actually won this. And so he's had it all those years. And then he's like, you need something for your studio wall.
Yeah.
And so he gave it to me.
That's so cool. I have that album, but it is not signed.
Yeah. So it's like a really cool thing that my dad gifted me. And it's funny that we're talking about Marshall Tucker Band. I never get to show this thing off.
That is so cool. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Nice. Awesome.
Wow. Now, yeah. I missed that show, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Anywhere near. But
do you live around here too, Jay?
I live in Kentucky, so I'm
in Kentucky
somewhere. Yeah.
All right.
I think I remember you walking to Ichthus a while back. I don't know if you were in the band then.
Yeah, it was the year that it like rained and there was mud everywhere, and it was like the revival show, and it did not go well.
Sounds like
so many so many people got rained out. I know I played there a bunch of times with different people, but
cool.
and everybody, so many great bands never got to play. That's like the one thing about festivals, man.
Where is that?
If I'm correct, I think that was 2016 was
Yeah,
when that
yeah.
show was.
Where is that festival held at?
It's in Kentucky. It's in
Oh,
Wilmore, Kentucky. And that was
okay.
like one of the last years they had it too. I think after like so many years of that, they were like, that's always an interesting subject. But yeah, so let's you joined Disciple in 2013. So you're officially the newest member, right?
Yeah, so
Touring members.
yeah, so I actually auditioned in the fall of 2013 and I was made official New Year's Day of 2014.
Okay.
So I mean, you can kind of say 2013, 2014. So I'm definitely the newest touring member, but Andrew had been playing with them, but wasn't like an official member at the time that I was auditioning. And they actually announced our official membership the same day. But Andrew had been touring with them a little bit longer because he was touring with them when my former band was opening for Disciple,
Oh wow.
and so that was how we kind of met each other and
Yeah,
and
tell us.
whatnot.
That's a good segue there. Tell us a little bit about what was your former band and the other members. Excluding Kevin. What was their former bands that they were a member of?
Okay, so I was a part of a indie pop rock band called After Edmund that made a little noise in the Christian music
I
scene for
remember
a
them
while.
for sure.
I was only with them from 2011 to 2013. Literally some of the most talented dudes I've ever made music with. And I mean, everybody had more talent in their pinky fingers than I did in my entire body. I felt very out of place because I was like, it wasn't the style of music that I was strongest at, but they saw something in me, and when I auditioned for them, they brought me on.
Nice.
And if it tells you anything, my former lead singer of After Edmund is now the lead guitar player for Ed Sheeran. So
Yeah,
you got to have some massive talent to be on the biggest stage in the world, and he's
sure.
doing it. So yeah, so they brought me on. Andrew was a part of a Tooth and Nail band called I Am Empire. That was
Yes.
pretty well known.
I
And
saw
then
them a few times actually because
oh yeah,
I'm friends with the guys in Sent by Ravens and they toured with them
oh
against.
sick, man,
Yeah,
I love Zach.
yeah,
Me and him worked at a church together for a long time.
yeah.
Um, and then Josiah was in a band called Philmont out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and
I
they
see
were
it. Yeah,
pretty well known. So Josiah and Andrew had their ways of kind of finding Kevin and auditioning and whatnot. For me, I was in After Edmund, like I said, from 2011 to 2013.
Mhm.
It was my first ever touring gig. I'd never toured before.
wow.
So I'd had 2 years living in a 15 passenger van, kind of learning the ways of the road.
Yeah,
And at the end of 2013, After Edmund was just kind of like, I wouldn't say falling apart. It was just kind of like people were starting to leave the road. Kind of, you just felt the tide turning where it was kind of like, okay, this is probably going to end and we're going separate ways. And so one of our last tours in America, Disciple brought us on as an opening act
oh nice.
because we carried all of our own production, and that was our way of getting on tours to where we could provide a sound system for bands that didn't have it, lights that didn't have it. And back then, Disciple did not carry production, so they relied on other bands to carry production that would open for them. And so we got on this opening thing, and I was like fanboy 3000, because I'd been listening to Disciple since I was like I was thinking about this the other day. I've always said middle school. It might have been early high school when I first discovered Disciple, but you know, nonetheless, I was a huge fan. Been listening to them forever, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the first like time I get to open for a band that I like really, really love, and we're gonna be on a like a 2 week run with them. I think it was only like 9 shows. And so I am pumped. I'm just absolutely floored. Um, and their old road manager, his name's Evan Silver. I knew Evan from playing at church, and he was in a band called Chasen. I'm not sure if y'all recognize that
Yes,
name.
I know Chase.
So
Actually, yeah.
Chasen's from Greenville.
Yes.
And they were pretty big. So two of the guys out of Chasen I played music with at a church for a long time, and I knew Evan for a long time, but I had no idea that Evan worked for Disciple, which shows you how good of friends we were.
Mhm.
And totally kidding. But we were good friends. I just never knew this about him. And Evan called me like a couple of days before that tour started, and he goes, "Hey man, what would you think if I told you that Disciple may be interested in you being their next drummer?" And I thought, I was like, okay, one, is this a prank? Because this isn't funny. Two, how would you know this? And Evan's like, he's like, I've been the road manager for a while. I was like, wow, I'm so glad you told me this information about yourself. Like, this is one thing about my friend Evan that I did not know. But he
Wow.
told me, he's like, yeah, their drummer Trent is leaving the band at the end of this run
Mm,
to take a job in Minneapolis, and he was getting married and whatnot. And Evan's like, I threw your name in the hat
wow.
to be their next drummer. So Kevin's interested. They're going to be watching you play. And then he basically was like, don't screw it up, and hung and kind of like hung up. And so instantaneously that tour went from like, oh, I can't wait to have fun and like watch Disciple play every night, to, okay, this is really stressful, because
Right.
very first night, I'll never forget, we were playing in Lima, Ohio, however you say it. We're playing at this outdoor thing under this huge tent, and we start our set, and I look over, and Kevin's just arms crossed, just watching me play, and I'm like, oh
Uh-oh.
my gosh. I was like, man, one of my rock heroes is like standing right
Don't
there.
screw this up.
Yeah. And he watched me every single night of that tour, like came out and watched. And then, at the end of it, he talked to me and asked me, kind of what my plan was after, uh, after Edmond and all that. And I was like, probably just going to go back home and play at church. And he asked me if I'd be interested in auditioning, and I was one of, I think I think it was 6 people that they auditioned, and I was fortunate enough to get the call back, after all was said and done.
That's awesome. I was going to
Yeah.
ask also if you know, Chasen, do you remember the Advice? They started as Jethro's Advice. They toured with
Oh
Jason
yeah,
Scott.
I remember Jethro's Advice.
Yeah. So I'm good friends with those guys too. They're from Greenville.
Is it Matt,
Matt and
the
Jared.
lead singer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt was the only one I knew from that band. Um, and
So
we hung out a few times, but
Jared and his dad owns an auto shop where I take my car, and Jared basically manages it now.
cool. That's
Matt
awesome.
Wow.
Matt gets paid. Him and his wife literally tour the world. They have a blog that they make money to tour the world and post about. It's craziest thing. But yeah, that's what he's been
That's
up to
awesome.
for about 5 years or so.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, good deal.
Wow. So Disciple, man, is one of the most popular, probably by far, groups in the Christian metal group. Like people are constantly, I would say, like we have it's an ongoing joke at this point. Like Striper, Disciple, Theocracy,
And Demon Hunter.
and Demon Hunter. Yes,
Yeah.
It would be interesting to
It's-
see how many times Disciple's name is mentioned when somebody asks for a band, right?
right. Oh my goodness. Like yeah, sometimes it's like somebody's like, "Yo, what's the greatest? What's a band that sounds like Cannibal Corpse as Christians?" Like, you'll be like, you're like Disciple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that you mentioned Joey as an influence, because it speaks to the diversity
Mhm.
with everybody in the band. So what's your songwriting process like? Who writes the songs, and who brings them to the band, and like how much you all rehearse them before recording, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the songwriting process with Disciple is wildly different every single song. Like every single song has a different story, a different method. Sometimes the music bed is written first, and then lyrics come. Sometimes Kevin will have a lyric idea that we'll put music to. And everybody in Disciple has free reign to write a song, submit ideas, take an idea and make it better. You know, change a bridge part or, you know, whatever. For example, Panic Room. When we had Panic Room in the chamber ready to record, the song was done. Like it was, you know, demoed out. We were happy with it and everything. And then we were on an off night. I think we were in Minneapolis and we went to see a movie and we went to see Bohemian Rhapsody. I never can't say that word correctly.
A great movie.
The Queen movie.
Yeah.
Amazing
And
movie.
and so after the movie, we were all like, God, that was incredible. Let's go back to the bus and YouTube real Queen videos and watch like real shows and whatnot. And so we were watching stuff and YouTube was just recommending, you know, the next video, and it played the music video for I Want It All. And if you're familiar with that song,
Yes.
it's like, you know, it's got the groove all the way through. And then when it hits the bridge, it speeds up into like a guitar solo. And I was sitting on the bus and I was like, a light went off. I was like, we have got to do that in a song. And I said it out loud and Kev or somebody was like, well, what song would you want to do it in? And I'm like, I think it would work in Panic Room. And, you know, it was already kind of done. So everybody was kind of like, I don't know about that. And then Kevin was like, well, go write it and let's see if it works. And so immediately how you hear Panic Room on the record, it was in my head like immediately. And so I went to the back lounge with Josiah and Andrew, and I don't know how to play guitar at all. Like I know how to play an E chord. That's about it. And so I just started singing the guitar parts to him and started programming drums on Logic. And we made like this rough outline of what it would sound like with the speed up and the slow back down. And then it ended up, everybody loved it and it made the record. So, you know, I got to submit something like that. Now, right now, I mean, we're recording some deluxe songs. We're doing 4 unreleased songs from our last album. And one of the songs I actually wrote myself, and it was a dream that I had, of me and the lead singer of Decipher Down,
nice.
TJ Harris. Me and him were going down a water slide together, as crazy as this sounds. And TJ, I was like looking down and he's going down the water slide backwards on his stomach, looking up at me, singing this song to me.
No
and
way.
it was like full tune, everything. And so I like woke up out of the dream at like 3 a.m. and I was like, that was a pretty dope melody line. And so I just voice recorded it because I knew I would not remember it once I went back to sleep.
Right.
I woke up the next morning, had that voice memo. And next time I was in Nashville, I went to Josiah's house and I was like, hey, let's record this. And so we wrote a song. Kevin heard it, loved it, and he kind of did what he does as far as like Kevin could take an idea with all of his melodies and his lyrics and everything and elevated it. And now it's a song that's about to be released, you know, that birthed out of a dream of me and TJ Harris going down a water slide together, you know? So
Cool.
the songwriting process is infinite, you know, it can come from literally anywhere. And I don't even know if TJ knows this story yet. And I'm trying to just surprise him whenever the song comes out, just send it to him, be like, hey man, I wrote this song and it was the weirdest dream I've ever had, but you were in it. And thank you for the idea. So
I remember when I saw Disciple recently, Kevin said, what was the Executioner? He said, yeah, it only took me 8 years to write the song because I had everything except for the chorus.
Yep.
And, you know, it's just how it works. So that's really cool. So since you brought up Bohemian Rhapsody, do you know who Mark Martel is? Either one of you heard of him? So
Not a
he
clue.
was the lead singer for the band Down Here, which was a Never Been Down Here. He sang most of he sang those songs for that movie.
Oh,
wow.
sick.
Yeah, like it's incredible how much he sounds like Freddie Mercury.
That's
Mhm.
crazy. Now I gotta
Yeah.
listen to some of their stuff. That's cool
Yeah,
though.
he's yeah, I guess that band was pretty large at one time.
Mm.
But so
Yeah.
if you so you joined and I believe Attack Attack you know that was your first Attack was your first album, right?
Yes.
Recorded,
Yep.
which I do have a autographed copy of, by the way. Um,
Sweet.
I think
That's
because I
awesome.
crowdfunded it. Yeah, I've
Oh, thank you, man.
so yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So full disclosure, I am a Disciple fan. I've probably seen Disciple no less than 15 times.
I'm
And
Wow.
so jealous.
yeah,
I've seen
I
Disciple like twice or
twice.
3 times.
I've
Well,
never even seen my favorite band that many times, so that's
Spoken has the
impressive.
record. I've seen Spoken over 20 times, but
Nice.
Disciple and Project 86 around 15 or 16 times.
Heck yeah.
That's
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so Disciple, I booked Disciple once. It was a fundraiser for a mission trip. I booked them in Greenville back in around 2001. Um, they were still a three-piece back then. But so coming into an established band now, that I mean, it's amazing. There's not many band. I mean, I guess there are a lot. But there's not many that's been around for 32 years that's still making music, you know. And so coming into a band, you know, 10 years, you've been in for a decade now. What was it like coming into an established band and that recording process and all for that album?
Um, very, very probably the most nerve-wrecked I've ever been. So they were writing that album when we were on that tour together where we met each other and whatnot, where they were kind of eyeballing me for um, an audition. And um when I did the audition, they were doing a tour with Audio Adrenaline and Stellar Cart.
No.
And that was in October of that year. And so right after that was over, after Edmund had one last hurrah, we were over in Europe, in Denmark for like 3 weeks. And um, that was the point where Disciple had decided that I was going to be their next drummer. So I'm on this tour with after Edmund, and they start sending me all the files for Attack, all the
Mm.
songs that they're about to record, and I'm like, oh man, like
Still Attack.
For you to
I
learn the songs.
well, for me to start writing, like for me to start like thinking through drum parts, and honestly, when I got the job, I knew that they were going to be recording a new record, but I had already like totally come to peace with like they're probably going to get a studio guy to record this, and that's totally fine with me because I'm brand new, and then I'll just learn the studio guy's parts. Um, but no, Kevin was like, "Nah, man." He's like, "We want you, and I want you to be like fully a part of this." So
Oh.
he's like, "You're going to record the whole album." So I'm in Europe knowing that recording is just like a few weeks away, and I've got really no way to practice in
Okay.
Europe because this kit that I was using was just like constantly packed up, and where they had us staying, there was no room to set up a kit. So I'm just listening on. I probably still had an iPod at that point.
Yeah.
I loaded them all into my iPod Classic, and I was just like laying there, just listening to the songs over and over again, just trying to imagine what I was going to play. Um, and so I got a little practice time, like over the Christmas break, before we started recording in January. Um, it wasn't as much as I would have liked, but yeah, so went in, started recording in January, and it went as good as it could have gone. I listen to that record today and I'm like, man, there's so many things I would have done
Right.
different or
Right.
recorded different or whatnot, but I think that's every single album that I've ever released. I always go back and listen. I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have thought of doing
Where
this here and
where did
doing
you
that there.
record at?
So Attack was recorded in Knoxville at Travis Wyrick's studio, and
Oh,
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, Travis.
yeah,
man, that's somebody I would love to interview. That dude has done so
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
he is.
Travis is hilarious,
He's a
man.
beast.
He's done a majority of the Disciple
He
Yep.
albums.
sure has. Yes.
I think he's at like maybe 10 of them,
Oh,
10 or 11.
Spoken and
Um,
everybody. He's been.
yeah,
Have you ever heard his solo albums?
I have not.
Yeah, they're industrial metal. I got both of them.
Oh,
I do
nice.
too.
I love his first
Yeah.
album. I love it, man. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one
so
with the purple, like the purple.
Yes. Yep. That one.
yeah,
It's
so
called Warwick. Yeah.
Attack
Yeah.
here was recorded with Travis, and then Love Letter Kill Shot right here was recorded with Travis, and then we got Long Live the Rebels, which we did with Aaron Sprinkle, who was like
Oh, nice.
Tooth and Nail legend,
Yep.
and then Skeleton Song, which can't really see this right here, but
Right,
that
so-
was all self-produced,
Thanks.
and Josiah and had produced it, and I
Oh,
mean
nice.
Josiah is a killer producer. Like, he's producing everything now. Him and Andrew both. Andrew's actually producing now, and between the
didn't know
two of
that.
them, like every Christian rock band on the rock charts right now, Josiah and Andrew had something to do with it.
Wow.
So
yeah,
y'all are, I mean, y'all are able to do all the music full time as a whole band and
Mhm.
be involved in music in general, right? That's awesome.
yeah. This has been, I haven't had to work another job
Hmm.
in I don't know how long. I mean, it's been a while. So
It's a good
I'm
gig to
definitely
have.
very blessed.
Yes.
I love that, man.
Very blessed.
Yeah, Jay can relate to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
Man.
not to say that it doesn't get tough sometimes. I mean, I'm not made of
It's tough.
money, and like it's
Yeah.
part the reason why I don't have to work is because I don't get myself into unnecessary debt. I'm smart with my money. I know
Sure.
where it's going. I make investments. I do, I it's not just I'm just got loads of cash coming in and no worries. It's like, no, what I got to be smart with.
Yeah,
I
and it's
got to do
good.
the right things with, and that allows me to live a peaceful life where I don't have to worry about where the bills, or if the bills are going to get paid or whatever. So I'm just not out like frivolously, throwing my
Right,
money
right,
away on stupid stuff. So
right. So, of course, being in a band for so long, you're dealing with multiple personalities. Hopefully, not with like one person. Yeah, multiple personalities, but
yeah,
uh, everybody.
that would be terrifying.
But multiple personalities, and some people don't make it. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many horror stories. We see them all the time in both Christian and secular bands. What are some secrets to surviving in a band?
Oh
With
man.
3 or 4 other people.
Yeah. Well, I think it has to organically work. I don't think there's any like kind of um secret, because if you do have one bad apple in the group, it affects everybody. Like negativity is a poison that can very quickly run through an entire crowd of people and ruin it all. um and I don't say this just to say it, like I genuinely mean it. The guys in Disciple are my best friends in the world.
That's awesome.
um in the 11 years that I have been in this band, there's only been one altercation, verbally, that got intense. And
No fist fights.
no, heck no. There's plenty of wrestling that happens, but
Yeah.
it's not because anybody's mad at each other. It's
Yeah.
just, somebody wanting to challenge somebody else,
of
on
course,
the
yeah.
bus, and, get out some of that pin up adrenaline that we get. But no fist fights or anything. And even that altercation, it was something that it happened. And then as men, you come together, you say, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I messed up." You hug it out, and then it's like it never even happened. Like
That's so
me even saying it, I haven't even thought about it until this moment, and that shows you how much like water under the bridge it is.
Yeah,
But I mean, honestly, man, I've never been around a group of guys that gets along as good as we do. Um, Everybody's super chill. Nobody in our crew is a diva or, rock star or
Right.
We
whatever.
are not
Like,
rock stars, right?
yeah, I mean, everybody's just so chill, man. Like, nobody needs much. They literally, I think it's just like an unspoken thing that we all have in our head. Like every time we get on the bus, it's like a competition to see who can get the most laughs.
Oh,
And so there's this constant joking, constant, whatever. What on our off days, we all genuinely go hang out with each other. There's some days where it's like, oh, it'd be nice to, take an Uber by myself down to a beach and just hang out and kind of get off the bus and get away from people. Everybody does that. And it's not a, I can't stand to be around these people anymore. It's like, no, sometimes you just need your alone time. But I mean, man, we genuinely just love each other and hang out. I don't know what the secret to that is other than just finding the right people
yeah.
who are all kind of on the same page in that area. And I've definitely experienced a lot of bands that they hate each other. And it is a business transaction and that's all it is.
And that's no fun, you know?
Oh, I would not be able to do it, man. Cause like if you live in a tour bus, man, it's close quarters. You can't
Yeah.
get away from those people. And if there's like tension or whatnot, I mean, you cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
It builds up very fast. So
Awesome. Well, tell us one thing about Joey that maybe people watching this wouldn't know.
I am a huge NASCAR fan.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
I've been a NASCAR fan since I was like 5, I think is when I went to my first race, and I'm now at like well over 30 races that I've been to, and I watch the races religiously every weekend. My wife,
Who's your driver?
right now, I kind of pull for a bunch of different people. So I am in the Ford camp. I was actually able to acquire my dream car a couple of years ago, which was a Ford Mustang Shelby GT,
Okay.
and
Nice.
so I have that. So I am kind of team Ford. Right now, I'd say the Roush Fenway Keselowski camp is my favorite. Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher. I root for them pretty hard. I love Ryan Blaney, number 12. But I also like the guys with the attitude. Like a lot of people don't like Kyle Busch, but I like him. He's been good for the sport. I like those guys with that raw, like I'll punch you in the face energy. So
Your wife's a fan too?
Oh man.
My wife is she goes to the races with me, and she actually does take interest in it because she sees how much so racing for me, it's a thing that me and my dad have bonded over since I was young. And so I think as I gotten older, like me and my dad are really, really close. We're good friends. And so I think it's that one thing that we come together and have like long conversations about, cause like anytime I see him, I'm like, did you hear about this? Did you, whatever. I keep up with all the news so that, me and him will, and not saying that we wouldn't have anything else to talk about, but there's just something about cars and all that we have just loved.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And my dad grew up racing go-karts and motocross. He used to be a part owner in a dirt track racing team.
Oh, cool.
So I just grew up around racing and engines and all that. So most people are like, oh, I bet they're going to go turn left. And you're like, it's like, oh, wow, you're so original. Like I've never heard that joke before. But for me, it's like the racetrack and those cars, that's me and my dad's relationship.
Yeah.
And so like it means a lot to me. And that's why I'm like, so invested in the sport. And Sundays are, not my wife's favorite day because she knows she's going to lose me for about 4 hours because I'm going to be watching the race and keeping up with it. But I told her, I was like, babe, this is my grown man soap opera. Okay. Like I gotta keep up with it,
I took my two sons to see Disciple recently, and so my oldest now he's a huge fan, and since I've been a Disciple fan for a long time, and that's all he knows right now. So that's like our bonding is talking about, listening to Disciple. Like we're going through the whole discography together, listening to all of the albums, and so that's
so cool, man.
Yeah. So
And that's what me and my dad do with racing, man. We'll go
yeah.
watch old videos. He's got pictures from where he was at tracks when he was like 18,
Oh wow.
and he'll be like, "This was me at Rockingham in the infield," and he'll tell me old stories from the track. And I mean, I've just grown up around it, and
Yeah.
with you saying that, you understand like when you got that special connection thing, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I had a friend that raced drag strip, and you brought back a memory I hadn't thought about in a long time. So he owned a purple GT Shelby Super Sport,
Yeah.
and I got to ride in it one time, and I just remember getting slammed against the seat when he hit the gas. That was awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
They'll put you back in your seat for sure.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Wow. So, do you have a favorite Disciple song? Well, let's just say, what's your favorite song to play? Because I know, like a lot of times, people be like, "I don't have a favorite Disciple song." What's your favorite you should play?
Man, there's a lot of them that feel good live to play. I would say, uh, man, that's a hard question too. Scars Remain comes to mind. I love playing that one.
Mhm.
It's just got a good feel to it, and there's a lot of fun feels that you can put in it.
Yeah.
Um, man, off the new album, Executioner's a lot of fun to play live. I'm trying to think of the ones that get like the biggest like fan interaction and
Mhm.
reaction. Um, Rise Up is a good one. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I could keep going because there's so. I mean, Kevin has written a lot of good songs
Yes.
over the course of his career.
Right.
Especially a lot of the ones that were before my time that I just absolutely love playing. Big Bad Wolf, God, that's a lot of fun playing live. Um,
What's your
yeah,
favorite Slipknot song to play live? Or not?
I can't play any Slipknot songs.
Oh,
I ain't that good.
Oh man.
that's what you learned on.
Right.
Oh
Oh.
yeah, well I never said I played it right. I was just, I was just trying to mimic what he was doing to figure out how to play double kick. I am not even in the same universe
Oh
as
man,
Joey
dude. And
Jordison.
now, what's my boy's name? Eloy Tossinger.
Oh, dude, that guy he's good.
Dude, he is insane. So,
he is he is
I
very,
know
very
that's
good.
gonna be such a next level for them. But he's like everything he's done so far, Sepultura and all that, it's just been,
Yeah,
he's
he's a
definitely
monster.
raising the bar. He's raising the bar for sure.
Yep.
Even from drummers that just work out, like
Yep.
he's raising the bar.
Yeah,
But he
his his
also,
his energy and power is something that I've never seen somebody be able to sustain as long as he does.
yeah, for sure,
It's pretty incredible.
So yeah, so it's no secret that Disciple is a Christian band for sure. Um, what is I guess what's your take on bands that are Christians in a band versus being a Christian band and just messages that people preach in their music or from the stage or whatever? Because there's like a lot of opinions. A lot of people feel like you can't be Christians in a band and be authentic, or you have to be uh it's like a unspoken bold meter.
Yeah.
Some people measure bands
Man,
by.
oh, go ahead. Did I
No,
cut you
that's
off?
it.
I'm
That's
sorry.
it. We can talk about that real quick.
Um, Man, for me, I don't really have too many strong opinions about it. I love the fact that everybody out there has their thing, and what they want to accomplish with music.
Mhm.
And if somebody wants to be a Christian in a band and play music, I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to be in a band and be very prominent, as far as like Christian lyrics and message and all that, like Kevin has, I'm fine with that too. Um, I've always, and this is my own personal belief, I've always upheld the personal belief that music is something that can't be saved. So how can it be Christian? Because you know, uh, we're the humans in need of God's grace and in need of saving. So that's what makes me a Christian. So
Right.
if I am a Christian, if I follow Jesus, then naturally the music that I make is going to be influenced in that way.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
so the whole like, well, this isn't Christian music or what, it's like music can't be saved, man. Music is just influenced by the creator, like the creator of that music. And
Mhm.
whatever is flowing through the creator of that music is naturally just going to come out. So, you know, with me being a Christian, with Kevin being a Christian and being very gospel minded and wanting to spread that message, that's what comes out in our music. Um, whether people label it Christian music or not, I just have never cared. I really don't.
That's fair.
Um,
It
you
is.
know,
It's totally cool.
and you know, some of the other guys in my own band may have a different opinion than me, but that's my own personal take on it.
Yeah,
So
it's
would
really
I
cool.
ever would I ever, you know, play music that wasn't overtly Christian or whatnot? Probably, because like at the end of the day, I am responsible for this guy right here and the morals and the beliefs and whatnot. And if something doesn't line up, if I don't like what's being put out, then I'm just not going to be a part of it, you know?
Mhm.
So I think it just comes down to each person's individual convictions, what they're trying to get at, what they want to do, you know, and whatnot. And, you know, I respect all of it. Um, so yeah, I'd say that'd be my
Yeah, like
take and opinion on
i-
it.
if you
Yeah.
have an instrumental song, is it Christian or not? Like, how do
Yeah. And that's
Yo,
what
and
it, that's what people like will be like, well, this band isn't really prominent with their they're not really as forward about Jesus, even though they're Christians and whatnot. It's like, yeah, man, like, you know, that's what they want to do. It's okay. You know, they're not out here saying like, you know, kill your mom, kill your dog, and crash your car into a bridge or anything in their music. You know, it's just
you?
it's fine, man. Like, just be thankful that they're out there like proclaiming like, hey, I love Jesus, but you know, maybe our songs don't overtly say Jesus, and that's okay.
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
Yep.
I I don't know. I think people get way too bent out of shape about it, and
They do. It's,
there's way bigger problems in this world that we need to fix than worrying about what people are, whether or not it's Christian music or not. I don't know.
right. No, I feel that.
I think
You
I
said
think it's
something.
really silly.
Yeah, I think you said something very important. It reminds me of the scripture that says, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth
Mhm.
speaks," for sure. And
Exactly.
yeah, if Christ is on your heart, you're gonna speak about it at some point.
For sure.
And without a label or with the label, for sure.
Mhm.
I'll ask this other question about Christians, and then Jimmy, I'll let him finish it off. So, what's your favorite thing about being a Christian? Well, we're just talking about Christianity.
My favorite thing about being a Christian, um, man, I don't guess I've ever been asked that, and I've never really like given it much thought.
Yeah,
Um,
We get
yeah,
that response a lot.
I know it, right?
yeah, man, I guess I would just say like the peace that comes with like when I open the Bible, when I read scripture, um when I follow the teachings of Jesus and live the way that he suggests to, the peace that comes with that is, I don't know, it's that, I guess, the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Mm.
I think that's my favorite thing, and it's, you know, it's not getting hung up on all the legalistic stuff of trying to get everything right, because at the end of the day, I'm not. You know, I don't want to abuse God's grace by just being like, well, I'm just a sinner, so I'm just going to keep doing this and just keep
Right.
asking for forgiveness and never change. Um, but I am thankful that, you know, I do believe in a higher power that loves me, uh, even when I'm unlovable.
Mm.
There's something beautiful about that, and there's something beautiful in that because there's no other religion that says like this gift is free and come to me. Every other religion is you got to work to get to that.
Right. Yep.
So for me, you know, I think it's just beautiful when I can feel that, and then also um work on freely giving that to other people, like in my own life and in different situations where maybe I need to extend grace and I need to extend forgiveness when I really don't want to. I want to be a human and I want to hold those grudges and that bitterness and whatnot. But the more that I follow Jesus and the more I realize like, hey, if I let that go, wow, look at how peaceful my life is.
Yeah.
Look at how much better I'm resting at night and I'm not so wound up all the time and I'm not full of anxiety. I'm not full of depression. And I think it's just the hope of knowing that I'm not in control, but someone else is, and that I just get to live in peace. I think peace is kind of like the overarching thing that I love the most about being a Christian is just like, I'm not worried about who's president. I don't care what side of what team you're on. It's just like, man, I'm just gonna like do my best to live in peace and harmony with everybody that I can. I know that there's going to be opposition, but it's okay.
Unless
There's
it's
there's a God fighting my battles for me, and I just need to be still. So
I was say unless it's NASCAR, then you care.
if it is NASCAR, I might care. I might care. If you're cheering for the wrong guy, I might move sections. I might not sit next to you.
So we battles.
No,
But
that's
we
true.
we can come together later and eat a cheeseburger. It'll be
right.
fine.
That's right. I love how you said, you God gives that to us, and then through the Holy Spirit we're able to give that to other people.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what can the Christian Metal Group do to help support Joey West and Disciple?
Oh man. Obviously streaming our music helps. It's not much, but as that Spotify CEO sleeps soundly on his yacht in his silk sheets, the streaming definitely helps put a little bit of money in our pocket. So if you can stream our music, buying merch on the website or at a show, that this goes for any band. If you want to know how to support any band, buy their merch, especially at a show. That's where the band gets to take the biggest cut of merch. And that's how a lot of bands are surviving now. And Disciple also has a Patreon page. We have a community set up called the Rebel Society. You can find it at patreon.com/Disciple Rocks. And it's basically kind of like Netflix for Disciple. We have brand new content that comes out every single month. There's different tiers of membership that gets you different things. But if you go right now, there's 5 years worth of content. Each individual band member has their own show. We come together and do a show for like story behind the songs. We have acoustic songs that release every month that get put into acoustic albums that you get. And actually, if you join the Rebel Society for as little as $1, you get 5 acoustic albums for free, sent to you for as little as $1. And then there's other stuff like our higher tiers get to Zoom call like this with the band every single month, get free tickets to shows, you get merch drops. So, it's that's definitely one of the biggest ways to support us as a band, because it helps us keep going.
Let's plug that in the group for sure.
Yeah, please do.
Well, sounds great, man. Well, thanks for your time. It's been a great interview.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate y'all having me.
Rock, man.
Yeah.
Disciple
Thank you
Rocks.
guys.
Disciple Rocks. No pun intended. Yo.